Hi there, I'm still making videos. I don't know why, but you guys still want me to make videos. So today's topic is going to be on safety. Now, because this video is getting a bit too long, I'm going to split it into two sections. So this video is specifically going to cover like how you can be safer in the community, so things like racism, sexism, sexual harassment, etc. And the next video is going to be more on the preparation and LARP combat side of safety. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Just to be clear, this is a generalised guidelines and general rules that you should apply to all LARPs. It's important though, before attending any LARP, that you read their specific guidelines. So the first topic we're going to cover is crucial to understanding the other topics. It's going to be very fundamental. It is consent. Why is consent so important? Well, without consent, we don't know what other people are okay with. It's important to gain consent, especially when doing certain things such as touching people or engaging in certain interactions, because it helps people feel a lot more comfortable in society. You want someone to respect you, you should respect them as well. So what things might you want consent for? Well, for a start, like I've said, sexual and romantic interactions. Any physical interaction which regards you actually putting your hands on someone, such as trying to do a healing spell or engaging grappling or fighting. Any form of physical LARP combat which is outside the battlefield. Ideally, you should also try to gain consent before publicising anything with another character's name on it, even if it's not their real actual name. It's not always possible to gain consent beforehand, so it's always good to check afterwards if you can't always get that consent beforehand. Before getting consent, it's important to consult the FRIES model. The F in FRIES stands for freely given. This basically means that the person's given their consent under their own volition. This part is very, very important. If someone is drunk or on drugs, they are not able to give consent, someone being under 18, in which case, if they're under 18, it's best to ask the parents, but also things like manipulation and pressure. That might be someone who has a high authority power in their LARP or outside the LARP, and using that power to pressure someone into doing something that they don't want to do. In that case, the consent is not freely given, therefore it's not really consent. The next letter is R, which stands for reversible. This basically means that someone, if they wanted to, could retract their consent at any point of time. And if they do that, you must always stop whatever it is you're doing. And for example, if you're healing someone and they're stitching up their leg, you must stop if they say they're not comfortable with that, they reverse their consent. Or if someone says they consent to a hug, I give them a hug, they say they're not really comfortable with that, I must stop. That way we can show mutual respect for each other, which is really important. The I in FRIES stands for informed. This basically means that the person is aware clearly and understands what is going on. If someone doesn't have the full understanding and information required to make an informed decision, then you should be a bit more clear. If they don't understand and you're gaining consent and they do confirm and you don't believe they understand the consent, try to make sure and confirm with them that they are 100% sure. If they don't understand what it is you're asking for them and they do give consent, this is again not proper consent because they don't actually know what they're consenting for and aren't consenting to the thing you're saying. So, the E in FRIES stands for enthusiastic. This basically means that the person actually wants to do it in the first place. If the person does not want to do the thing you're doing, then there is no reason you should even be trying to do it. You should never be doing something unto someone that they don't want doing. Lastly, consent must be specific. It's important to be as specific as you can be when asking for consent because it helps other people get informed, which goes back to the letter I, and opinion. Now we've got a better understanding of consent, we can move on to the next topic, which I'm sure a bunch of people are eager to see: alcohol and drinking. As a person who's recently been able to legally drink, I can tell you now that I have been missing out. It is an experience to be able to be drinking the stuff that is made there. There's so many amazingly differently flavoured handmade concoctions everywhere, and you want to buy all of them. That does not mean you should be drinking all of them in one go. The alcohol empire is very strong, like very strong. So drink in moderation, like great moderation. Try to divide anything you are drinking over a long period of time as well. Also, try and drink water after each bit of alcohol you do drink. If someone you know does end up drinking too much, cut them off. tell the people serving them not to serve them anymore. Often they'll be able to identify if they've drank too much and they won't serve them anymore anyways. But it's always better to be safe than sorry in that case. Also, make sure that person drinks plenty of water, not anything else, just water. Because obviously when you're drunk, you're going to be throwing up. And if you're throwing up a lot, you're going to be very dehydrated. It just helps to prevent the person getting dehydrated. Plus, it does dilute the alcohol. Make sure they're not lying on their back. I don't know why I have to say this, but I have seen this, not at Empire, not at LARP, but I have seen this happen. Someone put their friend who was drunk out of their skull on their back. Don't do that. If they can't sit themselves up, put them in the recovery position, which I'm going to show you in a bit, so just stay tuned for that. Don't leave them either. I've seen that as well. If you put someone on their back, or you leave them, and they throw up, there's a good chance that that throw up will get stuck in their throat. If that happens, they won't be able to breathe. They'll need you there to be able to help them. If you need more help or more people there, just call out and shout. It's not a good idea at all to leave that person. Lastly, I want to make a point on the consent side again. Like I said before, if you're drunk, that consent's no longer freely given. It's given under influence and therefore you can't really give consent. However, you are still expected to abide by this consent. So if someone says they don't want you to do something, you can't use the fact that you're drunk as an excuse to ignore that. The next topic is sexism and sexual harassment. For this topic, I've gathered as much information as I possibly can from a bunch of wonderful people in the LARPing community to see what they had to say about it. Sexism, sexual assault and sexual harassment present themselves in very many different ways. As stated before, what your character does is still you. You don't have the right to just say, oh yeah, well it's my character, you behave different. You, at the end of the day, are still your character. Wait. Everything that your character does is deciphered by what you decide to do. Your character, at the end of the day, is still you. Now I've got a list of tips here, both for people who can be put in these vulnerable positions, but also for those who can help people in these vulnerable positions get out of them. The first one I've got is, if you're going to a LARP alone, don't be alone at the LARP. Try and find a group beforehand. If you are coming alone, it's a good idea to meet some people beforehand, whether that's online, through Facebook, or in person. That way you can kind of get to know the people before actually meeting them at the event. It's also good to befriend a group and not just a single person or two people, because that way you've got more people in case you do need to have those contacts. It's not a good idea to go anywhere that's isolated or poorly lit alone. If you do need to go to an area in the night or in the dark, it's a good idea to take a light with you and to go with someone as well. If someone you know is going in a dark or isolated area, it's also a good idea to try and accompany them. As I said before, it just makes it a lot more safe and it may make them feel safe as well. If you do happen to come across someone who is in a poorly lit area on their own though, it's also a good idea to let them know that you're there. Don't do it in a weird way, just maybe hum a whistle or something, just to make it seem like you're not trying to sneak around. Try to avoid the shade, and if you can, try and take alternate paths. It just helps people feel a bit more comfortable. It's also a good idea to always know your safe areas. I've got a list of them here. And the next list is a series of places which are dedicated to helping people should they need it in emergency scenarios or other. If someone comes up to you and starts talking to you as if they know you and seems like they want to walk away with you, they're probably using you as a way to get out of an uncomfortable situation or to avoid someone who's making them feel uncomfortable or unsafe. In this case, it's a good idea to try and walk to a safe and more lit area with more people around with that person. Try and make sure once they get to that safe area, they feel safe. Check up on them. Before you leave, make sure that they're okay. If they aren't, stay with them until such time in which they feel okay for you to leave. It's also a good idea to carry something with you to accentuate a punch, something hard like a set of keys, your phone, or a pocket watch. This way, if you do need to strike and run, you can use it to accentuate your punch. If it does get to a point in which you feel though that the only way you can get out of there safely is to strike and run, it has gotten way too far. You should definitely report that.
dress. We'll go out tonight and then you'll rest your weary head on my shoulder. Been feeling blue, but now it's time to put your boots on, let them shine, don't keep hiding in the corner. Saturday night and the music's playing, the band is live, the tambourine's shaking, two-stepping on the hardwood floor. The air is warm and the moon is full, the whiskey's poured and I got you, let the weight be lifted from my shoulders. It's a party on a Saturday night, we'll dance till we're free, till it feels just right. Let's go party till the end of this night, oh we'll lift our spirits till we see the light. Oh my dear, take my hand, let go of the fear and leave behind our worries and our woes. Well, it's been a week of endless days, the 9 to 5, the crooked ways, we let our stories magically unfold. It's Saturday night and the music's playing, the band is live, the tambourine's shaking, stomping on the hardwood floor. The air is warm and the moon is full, the whiskey's poured and I got you, let the weight be lifted from my shoulders. It's a party on a Saturday night.
First aid 101. So one of the primary things you should consider about first aid is the personal aspect. Now that sounds really selfish, but in most cases you can actually help yourself. This basically means just making sure you have a few plasters on you should you ever need it, a few wipes on yourself in case you accidentally cut yourself or graze yourself in the battlefield. Additionally, if you have any medications or tools that you need for your health, such as an inhaler, an EpiPen, or regularly taken medication, it's a good idea to take these with you to Empire, and if you do feel like they may be needed as you go around, such as, like I said, an inhaler or your EpiPen, I'd say bring those around with you. It's also a good idea if you do need any of these kind of medications and you do take these regularly, that at least someone knows. It doesn't necessarily have to be the people that you're with, but just someone who, if the information is needed, they can contact them to get that information. Heat exhaustion and sunburn. Now, I don't think I am the best person to talk about sunburn, so I, again, had to kind of outsource my information. I probably should have gotten someone else to do this video because I'm not exactly the perfect poster boy for any of this. Sunburn, obviously sun cream. I do use this, everyone should be using sun cream. If you forget your sun cream though, there are loads of vendors who stock and sell these sun creams everywhere. It's often labelled as a sun resistance potion. It's important that you're wearing sun cream, especially when it's boiling hot, open fields, there's not much shade. You will end up getting sunburn if you don't put the proper sun cream on. If you notice someone to be drowsy, a bit dizzy, out of it, not fully conscious, they're slurring their words, etc., and you know they've not had anything to drink, they likely have heat stroke. Try and keep them in open, breezy shade, such as that of an open flow tent, and make sure they're drinking and eating enough. I was originally going to show you how to do CPR in the recovery position with a CPR doll, but I kind of left that, so long story short, I'm just going to link a video below if you do want to learn how to do that. It's a life-saving skill and it takes like 10 minutes to find out, in fact less than that, way less than that to learn. Especially if anything, the recovery position for Empire, because people drink all the time. Also drink plenty of water. You can drink water in the form of milk, tea, well, coffee's not the best, but you can still drink it in the form of coffee, in the form of energy drinks, which also isn't the best because they may have too much caffeine in. But whatever you do not drink water in the form of alcohol. Alcohol is not water. It's also especially important to make sure you're staying hydrated if you are planning on going to a battlefield. If you are actually going on the battlefield, it's a good idea to bring something with you that can carry water. For example, I have a water skin. There you go, water skin. I may have accidentally broken the cork of this, so I'm going to replace that. It doesn't have to be something just like this. It could literally just be an empty bottle. I think they've got bottle holders. I wouldn't recommend glass on the battlefields, purely because if you fall, it'll break. It's sharp. It's also metal canteens. There's so many ways you can bring water with you. And even if you can't bring water with you, make sure you at least bring someone who has a lot of water with them. Dealing with the other side of the spectrum for heat, extreme cold, hypothermia is a real risk at Empire. Make sure you layer up, and if you do see someone freezing cold, offer them a seat by your fire. Trust me, as a scout who has slept in nothing but a tent and their own clothes in sub-zero snow, the coldest night I have ever had is at one time, the first ever event I went on, which all I had was my sleeping bag because I couldn't find my sleeping bag. There was no snow, yet somehow it was freezing cold. Try and warm yourself up, but don't do it too quickly, otherwise you can end up with numbness in your hands and body, and you can also put that person into shock. It's not super likely, but it is a possibility. In this case, it's also good to make sure they're eating plenty, but if they are drinking anything, ideally warm drinks only. For the last part of the first aid section, I'd also recommend you get a tick card remover. There are ticks everywhere, and LARP fields are nonetheless the same in that case. Tick cards are really useful for removing ticks, because if you remove them with your fingers or with a pair of tweezers, you can leave part of the tick stuck in you. Don't do that. Tick cards don't cost that much. They are very easy to store in pockets. They are so useful. If you can't get a tick card before your event, I'm sure you'll be able to find one at the first aid tent, so go ask them for that if you do see any ticks on you. Also, it's a good idea to check yourself for any exposed areas, especially your legs and your arms, in case you do have any ticks. I've never had any personal grievances with ticks, but I know someone who has, and they ended up with Lyme's disease, which isn't fun at all. Make sure you check for ticks. If you are ever in a need for emergency help though, it's best to ask for it from a trained professional. On the battlefield, you can do this by shouting first aid.
Alternatively, you can go to the first aid medical tent, which is a huge green tent behind God, as pointed out on the map.
Lastly, in this video, we're going to cover inclusivity and actions of hate. This includes things such as sexism, as we discussed before, transphobia, homophobia, religious discrimination, racism, and ableism, both against those with physical and mental difficulty, and so many more. There is never a case which this is acceptable. You should treat people fairly in all cases, no matter where they come from or who they are. Empire specifically is, in practice, a gender-blind community. Although sometimes it doesn't work perfectly, the idea is that no matter what gender you are, or your presented gender, you are free to do whatever you want. There is no link with gender to any role, such as a warrior or a princess, and anyone can do anything they want to, no matter what or who they are, unless they're from Highguard. Nah, I'm joking. Or am I? There's also an LGBTQ+ meeting for new players on the Friday before time-in. I will find the specific details for that and I'll put it right here now. The specific details, the time, oh look, I knew it all the time. May change in the future, so it would be best to check on the Facebook page for Empire. Also, for those who are trans, non-gender binary or gender fluid, or even those who just want to express their gender identity, there are pronoun badges which you can get from your nation's egregores from the Friday. Alternatively, you can get them on the Thursday from the Vale of Endless Eyes in Varush, which is on the map as you can see here. These amazing badges are free, however if you do wish to show your support for the person who makes these, I'll put a PayPal link in below. With the insurge of new players, I can only imagine it would be really helpful, especially with the cost of production for the many badges they create. At Empire, it's not okay to dead name or misgender someone. If someone does use the wrong pronouns or your wrong name, they will often correct themselves if you do tell them that they've misgendered or misnamed you. However, if they do persist, this is not okay. My heart goes out to the people who have helped me make this video, especially the people who helped me with the sexism and sexual harassment end of this video, which I absolutely could not have done on my own, and the transphobia and community side of things. If you do have any ideas of things I can do to improve this video, or if you do have any comments, criticisms, or suggestions, please don't hesitate to post them down in the comments to contact me if you can. I really do appreciate any feedback you can give on this video because it really helps me know how I can help others. If you have enjoyed this video and you want to see more LARP content, I'd highly recommend the To Have To Roll channel, who make a series of wonderful, amazing podcasts on a bunch of different topics across Empire. They are amazing. If you are looking for videos on how to LARP generally, I'd also direct you to the Our Adventuring Party channel, who I'll also link down in the description for you to go and pop over to. It's run by an amazing person who will answer all your burning questions. It's run by an amazing person who will answer all your burning questions. And lastly, if you just want to see some chaotic, light-hearted videos on people's individual experiences at LARP, I direct you to the It's Mikki and the E.S.Tennison YouTube channels, which I'll also link down below. I really hope this video helps people. Stay tuned for the next video, which is coming out next week. I really hope this video gets out to as many people as possible, so if you would like to share this video, I would greatly appreciate it. It's important information in this video that needs to get to as many people as possible. You can like and subscribe if you want to, but mainly I just really hope you enjoy this video. So yeah, anyway, see you next time.